Okay, Match of the Day host Gary Lineker is to leave the BBC immediately. This comes about 24 hours after he was hosting the FA Cup final between Crystal Palace and Manchester City at Wembley for the BBC. He was due to leave at the end of this season anyway, and still on a full time basis, but he would return next year for the World Cup coverage in the US, Canada, and Mexico. He would be there hosting that tournament as his final piece of BBC employment. But it's turned out he's to leave immediately. Now, we don't know if he's decided to walk away or if the BBC have decided to terminate their relationship with him. In recent years, he's been highly active on social media in regards to his political views and being highly critical of the British government and certain government policies, which is deemed in breach of the BBC's impartiality rules, and he's been forced to take down several social media posts, including one recently that was deemed to be anti-Semitic. In nature, a couple of days ago, about a week ago, there was another social media post that he was forced to apologise for and to take down, and he was heavily criticised for. As a player, there's no doubt on his ability as a player. He was a very good player. He's been a very, very good host on BBC Sports programming for some time. It's just been in recent years he's become a bit more controversial off screen with some of his political views, and it did lead to him being briefly suspended from the BBC not that long ago. He has started to divide opinion in that regard. And so it's going to be interesting whether he decided it was his time to go early, or the BBC have decided to move on. I find it interesting that he will not be hosting the World Cup next year. It wouldn't surprise me that the BBC has decided to cut ties with him, but until an official full statement is released from both parties, we'll understand what's going on. But he will not be hosting the World Cup next year, and he will not be hosting Match of the Day at the end of the season, which is next weekend, near enough. So his time at the BBC has ended slightly prematurely. It's going to be interesting who the BBC get to host their World Cup coverage in 12 months' time at the World Cup in the US, Canada, and Mexico, which was due to be Gary Lineker's last employment with the BBC. He's already stood down, obviously, from Match Day for next year. We've also obviously seen last year the Jermaine Genius scandal, who was seen to be his long-term replacement on his various BBC programming that he hosted, including Match of the Day, and how BBC dealt with that. That was a massive fallout, which I think has put further pressure on the BBC to make some action in regards to Gary Lineker's social media content. And as I say, in the last couple of years, he has become a bit more divisive as a host and as a person due to his political views and the BBC's impartiality rules. And so there we go. Gary Lineker is to leave the BBC immediately. There we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below, and I'll have some more content for you all very, very soon.